Welcome back to the 99, where we're focused on brewing a better competitive commander. I'm your host, Patrick Marlett, and this is Cold Brew, where I take you from start to finish on a brand new deck, new to me at least. And today we have some of EDH's best boys in with us. Just they're so beautiful and perfect. You just want to protect them, but it turns out they probably don't need that much protecting. Now, I'm sure there's a couple builds out there, and they might have their own strategies, their own ideas, but we're going to try to come up with a few original concepts today. We'll see. And for the month of May, I was thinking, would it not be fun to just make this, May the 4th be with you, by the way, but would it not be fun to focus on Voltron as a strategy in cEDH? So what I'm probably going to do for the rest of these weeks, outside of the week that is dedicated to Brewmasters, is focus on builds that focus on equipment and or aura commanders. Likely going to use Ardenn in a variety of the partner-based builds, but I'm very interested to see if there's any other legendaries that we could work on. So feel free to shout out what you'd like to see in the comments after this video is done, or the live chat, and of course I'll take that into consideration. If you want to cement it, put it in a comment after the video, and we can discuss doing that in a later week, because I'd love to work on some Voltron builds. I've actually been working a lot with Ardenn, specifically Ardenn to Vesh, and some other builds that hopefully will make their way into the channel if they check out. But I'm going to tune in with you guys, see what's going on. And thank you, old and new returning viewers. And if you forget, I have to use my phone, so let me make sure that we're all here and we're all okay. Did everyone else get Magic-related commercials leading into this video, by the way? I like that WotC is using my platform to sell their shit now. The Strixhaven ads were great. And Mr. Beast plays Magic, apparently. You're welcome on the show, Mr. Beast, who's definitely not watching this. But, yeah, nice to see another Lorehold Brew. Thanks for the budget ahead. You're welcome, Marcus. Definitely, budget builds are going to be more of a constant thing on the channel. I want to do that more. It's so enjoyable working within those confines, because in cEDH, a majority of your list is usually decided, right? You know, you're going to use a certain amount of fast mana, a certain amount of... That's not entirely true, but for a majority of cEDH lists, the deck is sort of predetermined, and then you sort of just pick your flavor of strategy, stick with it, and do with it what you will. One of the only lists that I've made in recent day that has been an exception is Belby. You know, she uses Mana Crypt and Soul Ring, like that's it. But you're not interested in Chrome Mox, you're not interested in Mox Diamond. Or, you know, some builds might be interested in them, but she was really fun because she was so off the beaten path so far as what a cEDH list can look like. As $99 builds have been extremely fun, just exploring that space, because there are cards I would never consider that I get to play with and actually functionally work well in a competitive setting. Now, obviously, I've mentioned how much of an oxymoron that is, and if you want to see the $99 build, it's on the channel. It was the last video. All right. Boros is for bros. This is true. Boros is for bros. Love the budget builds. I can't wait to try out the budget Neheb. Yeah, I can't wait for you to try it out, because it was fun to build. Neheb is one of my favorites, and it looks like between Orvar, Narumea, and Teshar, the votes are pretty much tied. So I left it to you guys, the viewing audience, to pick the next budget build. I'll probably do one a month if I can. But yeah, if you want to vote on any or suggest your own, I think the first like 24 hours is probably the best time, because that's when people are more willing to look at the comments and like them. But if there's a list that you are interested in, give that a like, and of course it'll get more consideration for the next build. At any rate, I think what I'm going to try to do somewhere in the middle of this video is take like a 5-minute break so I can drink water or Lagavulin. I hope you all are sitting down with a nice drink, because I know I am. But take a 5-minute break just to chat with you guys and catch up on what's happening in the video. But of course, guys, as with every live stream, if you want to hook up your boy, or hook up your boys in this instance, the best way to do so is with a super chat. And of course, that'll live in perpetuity on the channel, and that's the best way to reach out directly to me during these live streams. But without further ado, let's take a look at our boys, why don't we? So, as you know from the title and screenshot of this thumbnail, rather, of this video, Ardenn and Rograkh are our first pair of Voltron commanders that I'm going to try to tackle come May. And I said it already, but are there any Star Wars fans in the audience today? I need to know. Is May the 4th like just a passing thing when there's a new Star Wars film or franchise series coming out? Or do people really celebrate May 4th? I had so many people text me, May the 4th be with you. It's like, I'm not watching Star Wars today. I could, probably won't. But it's nothing against Star Wars. Ardenn, Intrepid Archaeologist. For 2 generic, 1 white. So very easy to put down, right? Like a Mana Crypto Soul Ring. A variety of cards will get you there. Ancient Tomb, cEDH Traders, which I think is in our land base. And of course, we'll look over that in a second. But 2/2 body, legendary creature core scout. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may attach any number of auras and equipment you control to target permanent or player. So this is more than just like your typical Voltron style list. You can use auras like curses and attach them to players. There's some pretty cool shenanigans you can set up here. What's important to note is that the number of auras isn't fixed. Or rather, the number of auras and equipment that you can move isn't fixed, but the target is. So we can only move X amount of things to one thing each go round. Also, at the beginning of combat on your turn, this isn't just the first combat. If we pack additional combats, very doubtful, but if we do pack additional combats, we can use those instances to move auras and or equipment to creatures and or players, or permanents rather. So the permanent aspect is kind of cool too. I really don't think we're going to play too much with that. If you guys know of any core cards that you like to manipulate in Ardenn and any sort of, build, let me know what those are. This is going to be a very much research heavy cold brew. I know what I would like to add so far as just going to Beat Street is concerned, but moving on, we are in Lorehold, as someone mentioned. We have Rograkh here. So Rograkh, son of Rograkh, 0 CMC, my favorite mana value. Legendary creature, Kobold Warrior, color identity is red, so yes, we are in fact in Lorehold. First strike, could have been double strike, but they weren't going to go too crazy. If it was double strike, oh my god. Oh, so good. First strike, menace. Yeah, definitely got evasion. And if there are 2 blockers, trample. But it's a 0/1. It's a 0/1, Pat. This is why would you bother wasting your time on this partner pairing? And I get that. I totally understand. But we've got a creature that is not summoning sick turn 1, right? Turn 1, you put him down. Turn 2, when Ardenn is likely coming down, Rograkh is not summoning sick, right? So if we drop our Colossus Hammer, which I have in the image right there, which is like 1 mana value, right? So if you drop Rograkh and Colossus Hammer on turn 1, you are begging for removal. But on turn 2, provided you can get Ardenn down, you just slam someone for 10 with a 10/11, right? Colossus Hammer, if you guys don't know, if I'm not mistaken, it gives the creature +10/+10 minus flying and costs 8 to equip, something like that. But the idea, at least for my concept for this build, is going to be predominantly working around just stupid, low cost, high equip cost equipment to beef up our army of likely a bunch of hate bears. That's my goal. That's what I want to do with this. I'm not concerned with combos. I'm not concerned with combos in this list. Not infinite combos. Not that any combo is infinite in this game, but combos in general, like A plus B, I win the game. Really not interested in that. I don't think that these 2 commanders lend themselves well to that. I think they're going to be more of a value grind situation because neither of these 2 say draw, neither of these 2 say tutor, neither of these 2 are an outlet for an A plus B combo. They are sort of just really good value pieces in a situation that is aggro based. So we can add, obviously we're in the colors for Underworld Breach, and Underworld Breach, so provided you're in red, I was just talking to my Discord about this earlier, provided you're in red, you can do Underworld Breach, Grinding Station, Aetherflux Reservoir. Super easy combo to set up. It's a slam dunk in red. It's a great way to win the game. It's how my Rograkh and Tevesh list wins the game. And, with immediacy, because as soon as you storm off, you win with Aetherflux Reservoir. So it's not a difficult setup. We could do that here, but I don't want to. Because I want to punish every single list using Thassa's Oracle, every single list using Underworld Breach, every single list using a Degenerate combo. I want this list to run the Rest in Peace, to run all of the hate pieces, to stop that shit and just beat them to the ground. And the thing is, people are going to have to waste so much of their removal trying to get rid of hate bears and the likes, to where you should hopefully be able to get around just equipping the shit out of Rograkh and slamming people. So that's the goal. Now, is this the best route? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But that's what we're doing today. Okay, so let me see where you all are at. Decided to see what you're making. Yes, me too. Just made this deck over the weekend. Stop. Okay, so Ellie, you're going to have all of the advice we need. So I'm relying on you. Colossus Hammer. Hell yes. Thank you. I didn't say it as it was written. Colossus Hammer is how it was written. Yeah, I feel the same way. Oh, time for Kobold Tribal. No, Crookshank Kobold. Kobold's a care keep. There's the third one. I don't remember. We're not going to use any of them outside of Rograkh. I hate to say it. Could even run Stony Silence. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's almost like running. It's almost like running Balan. If you guys saw my Balan list ages ago. You can sort of cheat around the fact that your artifacts don't allow you to equip themselves because you turn it off with a Null Rod style effect, like what was suggested here with Stony Silence. That's an enchantment that practically does the same thing. I think it's 3 CMC though, or 2 CMC, I forget. But you can add that because Ardenn says it doesn't matter. You can get it to attach the thing anyways. So yeah, hell yeah, exactly. I want all of that shit. I just want to turn off everything. And maybe even add humility in here, like really, really put the nail in the coffin and say, no, the game is going to go exactly how I want it to go. Which means we probably need to add Hall of Heliod's Generosity to this land base, because there's definitely going to be a lot of enchantment-based stacks. And if you guys don't remember, Hall of Heliod's Generosity lets you put an enchantment back on top of your deck from your graveyard. Okay, so as I do with all of these, we're going to start with our land base and then end with our land base. So, Shatter Scrolls Smashing. Again, this is really just... Of all the MDFCs, this is the one I always run because there's no reason not to. It's fantastic. Removal. I can't tell you how many situations this has just saved my ass. It always comes in handy. But this is also great in this situation because, you know, Rograkh will likely not stick once they see that Rograkh is stupid menacing, literally with menace, once he's on the battlefield and doing shit. So... Shatter Skull Smashing, is going to be great at removing any sort of blockers that might potentially get in our way if Ardenn is the one that has to swing. But ideally, we'll leave Ardenn to just using his ability to equipping our other things. Ideally, Rograkh. But we have essentially the same makeup of lands as was in my Velomachus Lorehold list, but it's just a lot of fast lands to get us where we need to be, right? So Ancient Tomb, all of the fetch lands, so no surprises there. All of the dual color providing lands, Battleforge, City of Brass, City of Traders. If you're not on City of Traders and you play a proactive list, just be on City of Traders. It's very good. I know it goes away when you play another land, but that's really not the end of the world. Trust me, it is always worth it. Sometimes I'll even miss a land drop just because it is that valuable to have that as setup for, you know, an incoming turn. But City of Traders is fantastic. Really, really good value. Command Terror, Crystal Vein, that's okay. It really depends on the situation. You don't always pop it for too generic. And because we're not storming off, it's not like we need that mana that quickly, but this will come in handy later on when we need to pay commander taxes. Gemstone Caverns, this is great. It was just reprinted, so if you don't own one, a fantastic time to get one. Inspiring Vantage. I really like these, what are they called? They're not... fast lands, check lands. I forget the name for this particular type of land, but these are great. I'm using these in a lot of my lists now. I even updated Belby, if you play my Belby, to have Blooming Marsh, which is the Kaladesh fast land. I'll call it a fast land for Golgari. It's fantastic. It's okay that it comes in tapped later on. You usually have the resources to make that work. And then just going through here, our mana base, again, may change. I already know I want to add Hall of Heliod's Generosity. We can discuss any other cards, like maybe we want Buried Ruins. I don't know yet. But this many basics seems nice because we're likely going to incorporate a Blood Moon or two with Magus of the Moon, because our mana base is probably going to be made up of rocks, coupled with the fact that we can get away because this is Lorehold, but who are we kidding? It's likely going to use predominantly red cards, so we can get away with like a Blood Moon and Magus of the Moon. Plateau, obviously, and all the rest of these are very obvious, right? Okay, so our basics we can likely alter, but let's get in the editor. What I want to do is look over lower CMC equipment, lower CMC auras. But to start, I know I want Colossus Hammer, right? That feels like a shoe-in. And I'll see how you guys are doing. Death Touch equipment. Death Touch equipment, maybe. Like, if we look into something like... what's really nice about Balan is the double strike that Balan gets. She's really fantastic at closing out a game. Mind you, those games last hours, but she's so good at closing out games because of the double strike. What I really liked is that Balan worked really well with Grafted Exoskeleton. If you guys don't know what that is, it's a piece of equipment that gives, not Death Touch, Poison, Infect. It gives you Infect. So basically you could just slam someone and do 10 Infect damage instantaneously, right? So this is really good. Mind you, it's forced CMC though, so we may avoid that with this particular build. Again, I'm more interested in trying to rely on just Rograkh's evasion, doing a lot of damage. Maybe some double strike utilities, but not the double strike equipment. The double strike equipment's just meh. Is Embercleave usable here? I'm sorry. The spell costs one less for each attacking creature you control. It's flash. See, what sucks about this is its benefit happens as like a combat trick, not necessarily something we can manipulate with Ardenn, but it does auto-equip, so maybe there's something there. That'd be really cute, actually, because the double strike on Embercleave, but we'll look over double strike utilities later. Yes, so, yeah. Commander plate is very much a must for me, too. Well, we can go ahead and add the must equipment if you guys want. So we've got Commander's plate for sure. Mind you, it doesn't matter who it's attached to. They're both just going to have protection from blue, black, green, right? So which is like a majority of the kind of interaction you see in a cEDH setting. So that's actually pretty good. Again, despite some of the nice cards that have come for both white, not that many, and red, which has gotten a lot of really great cards, there still aren't that many staple pieces of interaction that are being used that incorporate those colors. However, there's been a lot of new interaction that's targeted that incorporates those colors. So Commander's Plate's really great in this list because we're in Lorehold. Basilisk Collar is really good. That's the one that offers Death Touch, right? I like Basilisk Collar when I'm in a list that incorporates like pingers. Like if I have anything that's pinging, like a Walking Ballista, then something like Basilisk Collar is interesting to me because the damage that creature's going to do is going to just kill anything. But here, it feels okay, right? I feel like we could probably do better with our equipment suite. And no offense to this card or your suggestion. I think that I'll probably focus on something else, though. I mean, obviously, if we did, like, the Walking Ballista Heliod, which is not something we need to avoid. Like, I think we can get away with all the stacks we want to incorporate anyways and still incorporate Heliod, Walking Ballista. I gotta tell you, though, I'm not going to shoot for that, though. That's really not going to be an aim of mine because Heliod really doesn't do anything for the list outside of being a combo piece. Walking Ballista is okay. But something like Basilisk Collar in that situation is great because of the lifelink. You get the idea. Lifelink, Death Touch, ping, 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 ping. Because of the life, you get +1/+1 counters. You see how this works. You can destroy the board. That's generally why Basilisk Collar is used in cEDH, but it's fine here. Stoneforge Mystic is easy to include. Yeah, we can go through these. So we're going to do Stoneforge Mystic. And I'm talking like predominantly like the tutors and or pieces of equipment or auras that you feel are must, and we can discuss them and add them before I do this manual search. Shadow Spear, Team Pennant. Team Pennant. I don't know what Team Pennant is. I'm not too high on Shadow Spear, but I could be convinced. I don't know about Team Pennant either. Shadow Spear, because why not? Are you gonna make me look up this card? Conqueror's Flail is cute. Guys, I don't personally. I'm just gonna take a little sidebar here. Inquisitor's Flail is the one that offers double strike. Is that accurate? Inquisitor's Flail. If creature would deal, it deals double that damage instead. A little different. If another creature would deal combat damage to equipped creature, it deals double that damage. Huh. I don't hate this. We'll add this to the side for now. So, guys, I don't like Grand Abolisher. I don't like Conqueror's Flail. Like, in a list like Godo, something like a Conqueror's Flail is really important because you don't, in mono red, have very many means of interaction, like to stop something from happening to you, that is, like means of protection. Where in white, you do have things like, Mother of Ruins, you have things that offer protection, that offer a blink effect, that you can sort of escape or elude any sort of removal or any sort of interaction that you don't want to deal with. Red, not so much. So Conqueror's Flail there is great. Grand Abolisher is usually, like, the list that incorporate cards like that are trying to combo on the spot or do something immediately, right? So we're not trying to do anything with immediacy. So in my mind, I don't see us needing a Conqueror's Flail. Like, am I really worried about your interaction? Like, if you're going to waste interaction on me on my turn, that's fine. Like, I'm not trying to combo out, like, likely everyone else at the table. So if you're going to use your interaction on me to get rid of something on my turn, that's questionable. I would definitely question the threat assessment there. Like, if it's just me equipping Rograkh with a new thing, and someone could very easily block it, or you don't know what might happen, it's very doubtful to get Eden with interaction. Plus, I would probably not swing at the person with open mana if they're threatening a bounce or something that I'm concerned with, right? So, Conqueror's Flail seems fine. I'm just not high on it. Again, if you're concerned about just getting things constantly removed, that's a different story. Obviously, incorporate it if you must, but I'm not too high on it. Jite. I like Jite a lot. I like... did I add Inquisitor's Flail? I think I did, right? Okay. So I like Umizawa's Jite, but this never really felt like a commander card for me, and everyone uses it. I mean, there's certainly players that use it because it's a pet card. I can't decide whether it's just a decent pet card or not. It's just really solid removal, really solid buff. The life gain is negligible. In Cube, where I commonly play this, like when you see Jite, it's practically power 9. It's so fucking good. Excuse my language, I have any kids watching this. Umizawa's Jite is so good 1v1. It is so good. It's a must include. In a commander game, is it pulling enough weight? I couldn't honestly say. When it deals commander damage, yeah, this is where you definitely want the double strike, right? We've already mentioned the double strike. I don't know if I'm going to put Jite in because I feel like I'm going to take it out. Sorry. Okay. Bloodforged Battle Axe. Bloodforged Battle Axe is cute as shit. And I'm almost with you there. If you guys don't know what Bloodforged Battle Axe is, it's also on damage. But essentially, Bloodforged Battle Axe duplicates itself. So the thing is, it just keeps going, is what I'm saying. And because we're not limited by the number of, like I said off the bat, we're not limited by the number of equipment and or aura we can move, just the target. This is kind of menacing, right? And because Rograkh has natural defense, damn, you're really convincing me. I've always wanted to play with Bloodforged Battle Axe. I've always wanted to play with Bloodforged Battle Axe. If you guys don't remember, the game I played with the Masters of Modern and Sheldon Menery over on Channel Fireball's stream, their charity stream, I wound up playing a Balan list because I'm like, I can probably make this casual. Some would argue it's already casual. It used Bloodforged Battle Axe. I never got to cast it, though. In test games, like with other players, I was able to get it to go off, and it's stupid. I'm going to put it in because I really like the card. Is it the best thing for the list? I don't know. We may remove it, but it probably will test well because definitely certain copies will lay around. The thing is, what will suck is if you play this, you do a lot of damage, and then someone pops off with their Dockside Extortionist. So, like was said earlier, we'll definitely need to add the Stony Silences of the world, the Null Rods of the world, because we can't allow for them to just pop off with treasures because I just made like 8 Bloodforged Battle Axes. and I'm still not doing enough to kill the board on a singular turn, which makes me think about the extra combats that we might want to incorporate. Let's see here. Emberclaw Familiar, maybe. Beefed up commander to kill all opponents. This is Kedis, right? We might incorporate Kedis. Skullclamp kills opponent's dorks. Yes, this is true. So if you guys don't know, with Ardenn, we're going to add Skullclamp anyways. But thank you for bringing this up. So because of the nature of Ardenn's ability, remember you, at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may attach any number of auras or equipment you control to target permanent or player. So you can attach your Skullclamp to someone else's creature, kill it, but you own Skullclamp, so you draw the cards. They just have a dead creature. That's pretty good, right? I'm thinking to myself now, like, is Magnetic Theft even worth it in this list? Because Ardenn does the thing already. A Magnetic Theft might be something I want to incorporate just because it would be good to swap around like our Commander's Plates of the world. You know, our Lightning Greaves and such. I'm sorry, this is a separate, I'm having a tangent here. I'm thinking Magnetic Theft, it just works well in lists that incorporate equipment. And, you know, outside of it being really great for reducing the cost of Godot's combo, someone mentioned Godot, I saw your comment. I think we probably want to add Magnetic Theft. Just because. All right, anyways. New equipment from Strixhaven. I don't know what that is. Which new equipment from Strixhaven? Dockside Extortionist. Yeah. I am trying to stick with equipment at this moment, but I'll extend this to just staple cards and tutors, okay? So like Gamble, Enlightened Tutor. Yes. Obviously all these things, and we have them out of the way now. We got SRAM. Do we got SRAM? So, in case you guys don't know, SRAM is the dude that draws based on casting auras, equipment, and vehicle spells. So, 2 of the 3 things we're likely to be using. Here's my theory on SRAM. You really got to build for SRAM, and I mean, like, you're going to have a bunch of just janky, stupid, low CMC equipment because you draw. Here, we're probably going to narrow down the type and amount of equipment we utilize. Moreover, like, we're probably going to have a refined equipment aura base. And I'm going to say that we're likely going to have anywhere between 10 to 14 pieces of both in total. So is that enough to warrant SRAM? Like, do we think we're going to get enough draw SRAM? If we do, let me know in the live chat and I'll add SRAM. If we don't, then we won't. But what I will do is sideboard SRAM for now. I don't think that's a bad idea. Again, it's hard to say how much weight he will pull until we actually start pulling the weight. Okay. Curse of Exhaustion. Wow, wow. 30 minutes of pure genius ideas from you all. I appreciate it. So this is an aura. It's 4 mana value. Players can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. This is a very expensive rule of law that you get to dictate who has at the beginning of your combat, right? So that's kind of cool. I think I'd rather just rule of law, right? I think I would rather just rule of law in this instance. We've spoken on GTA and why I don't want it. Bloodforged Battle Axe is in. Blackblade Reforged. Is this... well, Helm of the Host. So, I don't know if I want to necessarily incorporate Helm of the Host, but in case you guys don't know the Godot combo, this works really well in tandem with it. But basically, this is going to let us get more bodies on the field with whatever we have. And because we cheat the cost, this could really just be doubling down on our Archons of Emeria. This could be doubling down on any sort of hate bearer, just making life horrible for people, which makes me happy. Here's the thing. I don't like incorporating... We're going to use Godot the Bandit Warlord and Helm of the Host. Just have one combo in here, okay? Okay. Because Ardenn works so well in tandem with this combo, we'll incorporate one combo here. None of our stacks should impact this unless we use something like Weathered Runestone, right? Which I don't think we're going to incorporate, but non-land permanent cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield. Yeah, we'll probably use like a Grafdigger's Cage or something, which I don't think hurts us. but not Weathered Runestone. And we'll incorporate Godo Helm. I think it's been mentioned once or twice, but yeah, we will. Steel Shaper's Gift, yeah. Steel Shaper's Gift. I like... I'm not that high on Smothering Tithe. Open the Armory, yes. We can talk about Smothering Tithe. Sword of Feast and Famine. Technically like a combo card, right? But Sword of Feast and Famine, if you guys don't know, and you likely know, this is a very popular card. It's one of the better swords in my opinion. I think Sword of Fire and Ice is up there as well. But essentially what this does, and I have, I have this copy. Where is it? Wait. Holy shit, what is that? Oh, that looks fucking awesome. I didn't know there was a version I never saw before. I have this version though, because brown all the borders. Why the hell do we have to do it as a limited time thing in Time Spiral Remastered? Can we just brown all the borders again? Because holy shit, those cards look gorgeous. So I own this copy because it's the most gorgeous looking copy. Okay. Protection from black and green, already great. Super positive. +2/+2. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card because fuck you. What do you mean? And then untap all lands you control. Because why not? Good. It's good. It's good. It's going to get sideboarded, though, for now. For now. Someone can convince me that it's worth it, and we'll incorporate it. Now, in a world where we incorporate Aggravated Assault, well, hell yes. Sword of Feast and Famine. Otherwise, I'm a little iffy on it here. We added the tutors you mentioned. Again, I just want to very quickly, because I feel like I need a... Oh my god, there's so many comments. Thank you for really participating in the live chat. I just very want to quickly mention why I don't like Smothering Tithe, and we can begin the manual search here. Smothering Tithe is just okay. It's very costly. It can be hard to put down sometimes, where our focus is sort of divided between opening hand that functionally benefits a stacks-laden field / with equipment and auras to do the trick with Rograkh and Ardenn, right? So when you see something like Smothering Tithe, you're likely going to try to play for that first. And I mean, you're going to hold your Mana Vault, you're going to hold your resource to make that dream come true. And more often times than not, especially in a list that's lore hold, you're not going to have that many draw utilities, right? And of course, we're going to try to incorporate as many draw equipment as we can. See $99 Neheb deck for said draw equipment and just artifacts in general. But you'll wind up with more treasures than you know what to do with in many, many, many circumstances. And for this very reason, I stopped incorporating it because I was tired of just destroying my treasures to make it so that a Dockside wouldn't get as many off of me. Because my list, which was mono white, or, lore hold in this instance, wasn't doing anything with them. There's a certain point where you just run out of steam with it. Now, if we had a commander where we could just plug mana into it and get benefit, then sure, for sure. But unfortunately, I don't see it being of much value here, right? Again, it's a real. I know people really like the card. I'm just not high on it. Of course, you can incorporate it in your version of this list, and I'm sure you'll find an appropriate spot for it. Sword of Fire and Ice, Dowsing Dagger, Pure Steel Paladin. Pure Steel Paladin makes the equip cost of things, if you reach Metalcraft, 0. You also get to draw cards, so it's very much like SRAM. And we can just sideboard this as well, right? So this falls into SRAM territory, Pure Steel Paladin, in my opinion. I think I would rather have SRAM in this instance because making the equip cost 0 is sort of negligible for me. We're kind of already doing that anyways. And SRAM is easier to put down, right? Sword of Vengeance, World Slayer. World Slayer, who's this guy? I get what you're saying. I like that. Shifting Shadow. Shifting Shadow because we like to do polymorph effects? Maybe. Let's see here. Destroy creature and... what do you do for card draw in this color? We'll talk about that in a second. Golem Skin Gauntlets, Gold Vein Pick. Wow, you guys are just throwing all the shit out there. Mask of Memory is what you do for draw. Someone already got it. Is Curse of Opulence too cute? I don't think so. I really don't think so. I feel like Combat Celebrant with equipment gives vigilance could be great. Yeah, I can agree with that. Mind you, you don't skirt past the fact that you've already exerted yourself, right? Once you exert yourself, that's the one time you can do it, but I get it. Zephyr Boots was the Strixhaven card you were mentioning. Well, Rograkh is a warrior, so you should put in Resolute Strike. Are you only saying this because Resolute Strike received a Mystical Archive version? Am I wrong? Oh, I'm a fucking liar. I thought it got... okay. Target creature gets +2/+2 until the end of turn. If it's a warrior, you may attach equipment you control to it. Maybe. I think it's super cute. We're going to put Resolute Strike on the sideboard, okay? Not that I don't agree with you. Darksteel Mutation. What are your thoughts on Ardenn versus Rayhan as the partner? Rayhan does add nothing to the Voltron package, unfortunately. Sorry it took me that long to get to your question, but unfortunately it does nothing for the package. Okay, so wow, I'm very behind on the comments. You guys have had so many great suggestions. Magar the Diplomat might be a good draw, potentially. I wonder if Monologue Tax would be better in the circumstances due to its less... Monologue Tax would be okay. Monologue Tax would be okay, and it's easier to put down, right? I'll add Monologue Tax to the sideboard. Mind you, it's another card that I don't agree with. If you guys saw my review of the set, you'll know I'm not really fond of Monologue Tax either. I don't think they're doing a great job with white. Out of curiosity, why don't you use Live Edit on Tapped Out so we can see all the cards rather than going together? This is not Gatherer. This actually happens to be Tapped Out. The only thing is we're not going to be able to live edit until the list is actually constructed. So we have what is approximately 40 cards. Once we get to the point where we're 100 and or over, we'll go to the live edit and edit as we do with all of our live streams, the entire deck. But for the first hour, it's usually just finding the right cards. Shifting Shadow, put an enemy target. For creature removal, that's really cute. The thing is with Shifting Shadow, and if this is why it was suggested, mind you, it's... You could potentially wheel them into something very good or very bad. It really depends on whose list you're running this against. So for 3CMC, I'm wondering, is it really worth it? Like for creature removal, right? If that's the concept, because it can be creature removal into like a dork, or it can be creature removal into their Thassa's Oracle. And oops, they had Demonic Consultation in hand with all of the mana now requisite to just defend this one line of play that you provided them. So is that really creature removal? Or creature enabling? All this and more at the 7 p.m. news. Okay, we're going to go ahead and look up equipment now. I just told you the worst. I told you the worst scenario that could arise. We're going to look up equipment. We're just fucking equipment. That's all I need to know. So for this list, there's really not that much equipment in the world of Magic. You'd be surprised. You'd think there was more, but there's not. So do we want to look at things that give double strike? Yes. We just want to look at the things with high equip cost and high value, right? So things like Commander's Plate, fantastic. Definitely want to incorporate that. I'm going to just take a moment to look at my screen. I feel like I've looked at the comments for a hot minute. Once I get that intern to go over the comments, to pick up on all them super chats and all the important comments, because not all of them are important. Great way to build an audience. Then, I'll go back to the comments, obviously. But I want to take a moment to just go over all this shit. Becomes blocked. You may draw 2 cards. I wish Infiltrator's Lens was better. Obviously, if you have that, like, Gideon, the Kythian Gideon that makes it so they have to block you, that's kind of cool. If you have anything that makes them have to block you, this is kind of cool, but it's sort of just a gimmick otherwise. Everyone's all about the GTA, but what about the Psy? What about the Psy? No one. The room goes quiet. Is he being serious right now? I don't know with him. All right. Moon Silver Spear. You know what I'm all about with this list? And you can hate me for it. As soon as we come up to the card, I'm telling you, it's a fucking slam dunk for this list. It's going right into the deck. I don't care if you don't like walkers. That's the card I'm talking about. But holy shit, it's good. It's so good. But moving on. Blackblade Reforged was something that came up, right? For each land you control. This is cute. I wish it offered a little bit more to the package. Now, obviously, Rograkh does have Menace, does have First Strike, does have Trample. So it's like you've already got a lot packed into this one creature. However, do I think Blackblade Reforged is doing enough? Potentially. But this is because it was audience requested. I don't think I would normally incorporate that. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 for each opponent you have. Ooh. Whenever equipped creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any target. Well, that seems shitty. This was from a Commander set, right? This is from Commander Legends. Sorry. Not very good. I'm about the Sai. I'm glad you are about the Sai. I'm about the Sai too. I like the Sai of the Shinobi a lot. We need more Shinobi. Can we revisit the plains of Kamigawa, please? I want more sexy rat warriors. Talking about you, Ink Eyes. Happy Mother's Day. Yeah, I'd love that shit. That'd be great. Illusionist Bracers. Combo card of the century. Not of very much value here. Lightning Greaves. So Lightning Greaves is fine, but then, you can't do the thing with Ardenn, so it's tough. It's a tough call with Lightning Greaves. Like, if you want to keep equipping the thing, you'll need to move these prior. It's just so janky, but because I have the Corgi Greaves, and I've been wanting to use them, if this makes its way onto the channel, well then, you sure as hell bet I'm strapping on a pair of Corgi Greaves. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, well then just look up Secret Lair Lightning Greaves. Sword of Dungeons and Dragons, yes! Best suggestion yet. Thank you, Marcus. Pure damage plus stacks pieces. Well, there's one combo now, and we're likely to add Dualcaster Mage Heat Shimmer, because I'm just a bitch for that card. I love so much cursing today. I don't know what it is about Scotch, but it just makes me... PD Scotch makes me like a fucking pirate. Mask of Memory. Someone mentioned this, and I agree. Mask of Memory. For now, it's good. It's good enough. Draw. But yes, we're going to add a shit ton of stacks. Use Swift Foots instead. I agree with the Swift Foot comment. I swear I'm not drunk yet. This is my first drink today. Swiftfoot booties. I love them. Because it's technically 0 to equip anyways. Ardenn's doing it for you. Runechanter's Pike. That's kind of cool. So if we run more Rummage, obviously Runechanter's Pike gets better. Will it get better than Blackblade Reforged? I'm willing to bet that Runechanter's Pike is going to be better than Blackblade Reforged. Just based off the number of instant sorceries in our graveyard. This really depends on the amount of interaction and just removal we keep. But I kind of think that this has potential to be better. Okay, so I think this was suggested, or no, Moonsilver Spear was. However, things like this is what I'm talking about. This is going to help us. You know how there are certain builds that are, we might use Luminarch Ascension here, but there are certain stacks lists that just get away with Luminarch Ascension. If you guys don't know what that is, it's a 2CMC enchantment. Basically, once you've reached a certain threshold of counters on it, you can just start pumping out 4/4 angels off turn. It's absurd. It's one of the cards that makes white decent. However, it's just get rid of all of the hurdles that you need to do with that strategy and play Seraphic Greatsword. And guess what? Rograkh's a 2/3 first strike menace trample with the ability to make 4/4 angels, and it's very easy to get in there with him. So I like things like Seraphic Greatsword here because this is going to add up. Right? And everyone's going to be like, oh god, can someone get a Toxic Deluge? And it is pronounced Deluge. If you watch my YouTube short, it is pronounced Deluge. Holy crap, though. This is going to do so much, though. And mind you, it's attacking. It's attacking. Can I emphasize that word anymore? Okay, so there's so many suggestions. I really love that you guys have ideas. That's good. Keep that mentality moving forward. Always have ideas. And I promise I'm going to look over more of them. We did spend the first 30 minutes looking over your thoughts, though. Thank you so much for all of the suggestions in the beginning there. We added the Swiftfoot booties for the person that suggested it. Okay. We're moving into some weird territory here. These are some pretty shitty pieces of equipment. Valkyrie's Sword. Ooh, I have the opportunity to pay to make angels? Shit, no. I'm doing that for free. I'm doing that on the attack. You kidding me? Battle Mage's Bracers. This is a card that's gone unsung from the recent set. This is a really cool combo enabler in the world. If I'm not mistaken, this will combo with your This is a complete aside with Morath, right? But these are really good Battle Mage bracers. Not very good here, but good. Keep that in your back pocket for a future build. But someone mentioned World Slayer. I would highly incorporate you also look to using Darksteel Plate if you happen to use World Slayer, because destroying all the things, while cute, can leave you in a real shit spot. However, you could tap out and replay things and be in a okay spot. I do think Fire Shrieker is okay. I think I missed the card I really wanted to add, though, so we're going back. Wait up. We're going back. How did I miss it? Did I miss it? Damn it. I really missed it. It was back here. Oh, I really want this card. Is it more expensive than I think it is? It's still worth it. It's still worth it. Okay. Moving on. I think that I'm probably going to stop with the equipment line around 4 CMC. That seems like a bit much to me. But obviously, if there's something above that that you think is of value, shout it out at that point. But we do want to get the things that generate creatures, ideally. That would be the best scenario for us. And I don't remember them all off the top of my head, so do let me know. Quietus Spike? Well, shit, that's not so bad here. Is this bad? Is this bad to just ram this into the player that's trying to pop off with Ad Nauseam, like you know is trying to pop off with Ad Nauseam? Is this bad? I don't think so. Champion's Helm. Is this what you're referring to, good stuff? We can look at Champion's Helm really quick. I think I just passed it. Am I correct in assuming that? Let me just pop it in the... That's not how you spell it. But Champion's Helm. This is a really cool card. It's a... There you go. +2/+2 and hexproof. So my only qualm here is that it's 3 with 1 to equip, where we're cheating the cost of the equipment. So I don't really feel like I'm getting my money's worth out of that card. Still really good. Don't get me wrong. Obsidian Battle Axe. Obsidian Battle Axe? Is it important that Rograkh... If Obsidian Battle Axe is on the field, just in the scenario I can think of, someone removes Rograkh because they see me putting all the shit on Rograkh. What would be kind of cool is the fact that Rograkh's 0 CMC, so the next time he's 2 CMC to put down, and then Obsidian Battle Axe auto-equips, right? But this would all likely happen his removal on combat. So I'm past the point of haste being useful. I'm just trying to make a case for Obsidian Battle Axe. I don't think there is one. We're going to avoid it. Someone mentioned Sunforger earlier. So I am not a huge Sunforger player, but I can understand and see the value of it, and we'll place it in the list. For you. For he who hath mentioned it. Okay, I'm not seeing the card. This is the card I'm talking about. This is what I want to add. I don't know how we missed this. I put the word equipment in, and I missed this. Again, you might have feelings about this secret lair, but holy shit, is this a good card. It is so good. Probably the reason it's $15. If you don't want to play with it, you don't have to play with it, but I'm telling you that this is so worth it. When you attack, they sacrifice a creature. Did you have a blocker? Wait, no, you don't. You had 2 things to... Nope, you don't. And I get a 2/2 fucking zombie. Oh, and my shit, whatever I equip this to, is going to have menace anyway, so it doesn't have to be Rograkh. This is good value, in my opinion. I like it a lot. And it's generating bodies. Again, you do need to attack someone that has something to sacrifice. So maybe we incorporate Forbidden Orchard and just give you the thing. Yeah, sacrifice that. Sacrifice that, I'll make something. Thanks. Also, we have Skull Clamp, right? Someone mentioned the Skull Clamp trick. Hell yes. Okay, so we need to add Forbidden Orchard. And we also need to add Hall of Heliod's Generosity. We can also incorporate Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, because I feel like we are going to be a very permanent heavy list, so that's decent ramp for us. I'm going to sideline Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, and perhaps we incorporate it. Okay. Can be All That Glitters okay? Lagavulin talking since it's black, though. Oh, son of a bitch, you're so right. Okay, so here's the thing. This is why it didn't show up. The Lagavulin is talking. I have secretly, not even secretly, I mentioned it at the very beginning here, I actually made a Ardenn and cEDH list, and this is one of the all-stars in the list. And I'm like, why isn't this showing up? Because we're definitely not making Ardenn and cEDH. So thank you for that. I still want to play it. Can you guys let me play it? Damn it. All right. So thank you for that catch. You're totally right. I think that's going to be it for useful equipment. We've already added Helm of the Host. And I know someone said Moonsilver. So my qualm here is like Seraphic Greatsword, they get to attack. Here it's just it's cost 4. It's a 4/4 angel creature token onto the battlefield, so you're a really decent blocker. It just seems okay. I don't know. It seems too costly for what you're really accomplishing with that card. But I get it. And did I add Magnetic Theft? I did, didn't I? I wanted to. I will. Okay, so. Why, Ricky? Why can't I keep it? Sigarda's Aid and Reconnaissance are really powerful enchantments to play in this list. Yeah, and guys, if you don't know what Reconnaissance is, Sigarda's Aid is an auto-equip. We can look at that first. But Sigarda's Aid is a really fun one. It usually goes into many an Aura equipment Voltron build. But essentially, you can cast those spells at instant speed or flash. They have flash now. And they auto-equip once they enter the battlefield. So a creature you control, mind you. So you can't do any cute or cheeky things with this. But we'll add Sigarda's Aid. I like it here. And we'll also add the Reconnaissance. Is Reconnaissance... let's see. I feel like Reconnaissance has probably gotten up there in price, right? That's not too bad. Remove target attacking creature you control from combat, untap it. So you can do this at any stage of combat. So you can get all your triggers out of the way, yada, yada, yada. There are some pretty fun things to do with Reconnaissance. We can add it here. This is fine. Just a good get out of jail free card for the list. 2 ends. There we go. Okay. And let's just save this and continue to see where we lie with the list. It is a nice one. Sigarda's Aid is a nice one. Yeah, I was looking at Hammer is on there as well. Hustle. It is good, but again, we're kind of doing that thing with. We are kind of doing that thing with Ardenn. So, Hammer is on, making the creature indestructible. Am I mistaken? That's not so bad, but by and large, I don't feel like I'm too high on it. The indestructibility is cute though. I don't know. I'm not high on it. If you guys think it deserves to be on the list, let me know. No answer from my cEDH mentor. Did you ask me something? Can all that glitters be okay? All that glitters. Was this all that glitters? Was this from Throne of Eldraine? So, you know why I'm not really going to research too heavily into auras? What's beautiful about equipment is that they live outside of a creature being on the battlefield, right? But for auras, they're gone as soon as that creature dies, right? That's my only qualm. That is my only qualm with auras in general. However, there might be a few auras we would want to incorporate. I'm going to look at Totem Armor auras just really quickly. Just to see if there's... I just forget what the Totem Armors are, but Totem Armor is a really unique keyword that belong to some auras from this set. What is this? This is the Eldrazi set. Rise of the Eldrazi. That are kind of cool. So remove all damage from it and destroy this aura instead. So basically they last. The equipment stays. It's just a good get out of jail free card. It's almost like having the indestructible from earlier. Almost. Mind you, a fair amount different, but... These are okay. I guess the Mammoth one is the best one, and it's so damn expensive. Auras attached to permanents you control have Totem Armor. It's not worth running Umbra Mystic ever. And none of these are really good. These are all... We have First Strike, right? We don't need the lifelink. It doesn't matter. None of these are good. Okay. I just want to see if there's anything within the realm of Totem Armor. But yeah, all that glitters, I think it's fine for the list and is certainly playable in the list. I think the cost of it is kind of putting me off at 2CMC. I feel like there's other things we can be doing. And I would rather stick with equipment almost always. Masterwork Ingenuity is really cute. It's sometimes good, sometimes bad, though. If you guys don't know what Masterwork of Ingenuity is, I glazed over it, but it's a sword. It doesn't have to be a sword. It's not a sword. There's a sword in the art. You may have Masterwork of Ingenuity enter the battlefield as a copy of any equipment on the battlefield. So something like this with the Blood-Forged Battle Axe, holy shit. Yeah, that's great, right? You just keep piling on the damage. But otherwise, it's, it could be bad. But it could be good. I'm going to sideline it because of the could be good. I'm not really riding on that, but I'll sideline it for that. Yeah, Tommaso, you can add it though. I definitely think you can add it if you'd like. Again, it's the fragility, as you've mentioned. It might be a bit Kano, but what about Hero's Blade? Hero's Blade. Wait. So, okay. What I really want to do now is just look up double strike elements, because that damage is sort of like the thing we're going for here. And I mean like any instance of double strike. Outside, even creatures. Wait, is Fervent Champion... Hold up. Does Fervent Champion have double strike? He's not popping up. Okay. I kind of want to add some elements of double strike, be it on a utility land like this or something else, but something along the lines of, damn it, there's really no good double strike utilities. Equipped warriors you control have double strike. Damn, that's kind of cute, isn't it? Damn, that's kind of cute. Is this too cute? Is Core Blade Master too cute? Let me know. To each creature that doesn't have when at least two creatures first strike, double strike, vigilance, haste, transform, path of metal. Forget what this one does. None of the cards from this set were really groundbreaking, but who knows. Mask of Avacyn for cheap hexproof on key pieces. That wouldn't be bad. Sword of the Animist for ramp 2. I can agree with Sword of the Animist. It only grabs basics, mind you. But I think with our 8 basics, we're probably in a good spot to make the most out of Sword of the Animist. And why did it switch to Sword of the Animist? Of the... Thank you. Okay. Sword of the Animist. Boros Charm gives double strike. Okay, Cord Blade Master, though. Cord Blade Master. If you wanted to get double strike on her and or Rograkh, oh, she already has it, but you got what I'm saying. Is this a good card? Is this a good card? I don't know. She looks like she belongs with Ardenn, though, doesn't she? Look at that art. Look at that art. Come on. I'm trying to convince myself. It's at that point it's not worth it. But I still kind of like it. I want a permanent that allows for double strike. And I think someone mentioned one just a second ago. Joined 15 minutes ago. What do we have for permanent removal? Removal is always the last thing to come so far as building a list is concerned in my book. Once we assess the kind of package we're handling, then we can incorporate the removal to handle what is going to work counter to us and obviously what is in our meta. So that's the least of my concerns right now. And plus, because we're going so stacks heavy, I imagine we're going to be able to handle a majority of our problems just via that. However, we can talk about removal in a second. We're just building up the bone structure for our list right now. And it seems like there's just an okay amount of equipment. We definitely want to add more. Yeah, I agree with that. You might as well try it. Sword of the Animist, 2 CMC, rampant growth when attacking each time. Yeah. She's good if you run warriors. I think that, I don't know. She feels better. She feels better than Fire Shrieker, though. Ugh. Fire Shrieker kills me, man. I just hate this card, Fire Shrieker. It never does. Nope. Fire Shrieker. It never does enough in my book. 3, 2 to equip. It just gives them double strike. That feels like dog dick, doesn't it? That just feels like dog dick to me. But what's nice is that the Sun Forger kind of lets us cheat out any of the instant speed double strikers. I could actually do Boros Charm here. I like that a lot. That's a combat trick that can actually kill someone. So I like that. And that's cute. The flying and double strike. Holy crap, a Johnny. You know, are we really considering a Johnny Color of the Pride? Maybe. Is there good art for a Johnny? That's the next question. Would you run a Johnny Color of the Pride for the San Diego Comic-Con art / flying double strike? Yes. Is Shadow Spear offering double strike? Am I confused here? Does Shadow Spear offer double strike? I don't see the word double strike on there. Words double strike on there. A Johnny Color of the Pride. And no. No twice. Helvar, God of Battle. Helvar is sort of he's sort of doing the same thing, if I'm not mistaken. Creatures you control that are enchanted have double strike. The 4 CMC is what gets me. But there's also really good art on Helvar. Like, holy shit, look at that art. At the beginning of each combat, you may attach or equipment attach to a creature you control to target creature you control. I mean, obviously we have Ardenn. Do we want to double dip here? Honestly, for the sword on the back end of Helvar, yeah, I could do that. I could do this. I could do Helvar. I don't mind the suggestion at all. Thinking about pulling the trigger on a Japanese demonic tutor, Japanese Teferi, Japanese foil opposition, duress for like 160. This is a complete sidebar, but all of the Japanese mystical archives I definitely foresee holding value if you were curious. Not the foil etched versions, they're very shitty. Get the full art foil variants of the mystical archives if you are interested in purchasing in on them. They're very good value. I really regret not pre-ordering a Grape Shot Japanese mystical archive foil because they just shot up in value. I only wanted it because of the art, mind you, but that's a good card. Really good card to just own, and they're all going to go up in value, trust me. Most alternative arts that are likely not to see reprints will go up in value. I will give this maybe a few more weeks to see where the prices fluctuate and settle, but once the set, like, they stop producing them in mass, the prices will go up. So try to get it within the first month, at least, of the product release, right? That's a general rule of thumb if you're looking to be a collector. All right, so I'm going to take a couple of minutes here, like I said, to just pause in the middle of our video to chat with you guys, see what's up. So we're 60 cards in. We have 7 cards on the side. Most of these are odd utilities, right? So the Masterwork of Ingenuity could be good, could be bad. Monologue Tax, just decent ramp. Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, potentially decent ramp. We've got 2 draw engines with Pure Steel Paladin. SRAM, Resolute Strike is really cute. It'll let you equip warriors as well as being a not necessarily combat trick, because I think it's sorcery speed. And then we have Sword of Feast and Famine for value, right? So just odd utilities. But then the core of our list looks pretty good. We do need to move our land base around. I'm only trying to keep the lands here around 30 to 31. Maybe just 30. But yeah, how are you guys doing? How are we feeling about this list so far? Once we settle back into this, I just want to slam away all of the rituals, all of the fast mana, all of the stacks and removal at this point, and then we can see about incorporating any more pieces of equipment or aura. My dad has triple strike. That sounds like something he should see his doctor about. Inquisitor's Flail isn't double strike, but it almost feels like it. We added an Inquisitor's Flail for sure, by the way. That's right there. 160 for all 3 is a good deal. If I'm not mistaken, like the Japanese, are these foil, non-foil? I don't know what I think the foils are resting really, really high for the Japanese demonic tutor. It's very popular for some reason. Me personally, I love the original art. The devil holding the book, like, that's some pretty cool Satan worshipping shit if you're into that. But yeah, that art's great. Axguard Armory, or is that too slow? That's the tap land. Is it Axe Guard? Yeah. Search your library for aura equipment, reveal it, put them in your hand. I don't hate it. It is a little sluggish though, right? It's a little sluggish. Japan has amazing deals if you know how to look. Yeah, I actually collect a lot of watches. And a lot of the Japanese brands I'll buy from Japanese auction houses because you'll get some amazing deals. If that's what you're talking about, Mayor. But a lot of Japanese products, I would suggest using a Japanese auction site. I don't know about buying Magic cards from overseas. I've never tried that. Do you expect to pay a lot in shipping? There are 2 magnetic thefts. Are there 2 magnetic thefts? We can remove one, although I'd prefer to keep both. Thank you. The first 2 were non-foil. Yeah. How much should an aura give to be worth it in your mind? How much should an aura give? How much should an aura give? I think the aura should ideally win the game. It's almost like so like with the Neheb Dreadhorde champion build, you'll notice there's 1 aura in there. And it's odd because like we have Open the Armory in here and you feel like, damn, Open the Armory is 2 CMC. Like you really want to get the most out of it. It's doing that much more than Steel Shaper's Gift. Like I really feel like this should be grabbing me some sort of aura potentially. It's just not, it's never really going to get there. Unless the list could incorporate Lucille and was using Tevesh, then you'd use like an Animate aura. You'd use Animate the Dead. You'd use anything along those lines. There aren't that many auras I feel are worth it in a cEDH setting. Just by nature of the fact that it could be gone any second, and I don't like that. I would prefer knowing that the thing I'm using needs dedicated removal to get swept off my field. Because once that creature's gone, which is likely to happen more than once or twice in a given game, just depending on the scenarios I foresee with a Rograkh just being equipped with everything, we really want to make sure that we're putting our mana towards something that has lasting power. Because it almost feels like in instances where an aura could just get removed, it's almost like casting a sorcery speed spell. Like you get that buff, maybe you get a little bit out of it, like you get 2 to 3 turns worth out of it. I'd say that's really good. But then as soon as like whatever it is becomes a mounting threat, because with a slow rolling list like this, people are likely to hold their removal until the last minute. If they're practicing good threat assessment, then they'll get rid of it. So maybe there is a case for some auras, but I'm not seeing myself wanting to incorporate any here. That's my thought on that. Yeah, it's roughly been about 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and fill up my scotch just a little bit more. Does anyone else drink while they're watching these? Ardenn Vial Smasher to use Lucille. Seems good. Yes. So what's interesting is that I'm not letting any of this Lagavulin go to waste, okay? I used to bartend. I would do that at the bar. That's not true. Could you imagine seeing your bartender do that? Could you imagine he just handled the bottle on his mouth? I'd still drink there. If it was cheap. Benevolent Blessing. I'm drinking right now. I have coffee and Kahlua. Yes, I just bought a bottle of Kahlua to make... I really wanted to buy the S'mores liquor, and I could not find it from the 3 liquor stores nearby, but there was a place that sold peanut butter liquor. Oh my God. And there was a peanut butter cup cocktail recipe I remembered, and I'm like, well, I need like a coffee liqueur of some sort. So I went to buying Kahlua. I have a bottle of Kahlua that is not going to last as long, or rather, it's going to last far longer than my peanut butter scotch. I think it's scotch or bourbon. So damn good. All right, so we're going to add all of our rituals. Rite of Flame, Desperate Ritual, Jeska's Will, Pyretic Ritual. That isn't to say all of these stick. Right? It's really not to say that. Seeding Song. But we're just going to get a baseline of all of our fast mana down. We're not going to use Infernal Plunge in this particular brew because we want Rograkh to stick. He is a core part of the strategy. However, we will add Mox Amber. Did I miss any rituals there? Rite of Flame, Desperate Ritual, Pyretic Ritual, Jeska's Will, Seething Song. Those seem like the core ones. You can also make a case for Open the Omen Path. This one's starting to grow on me. If you guys don't know Open the Omen Path, it just came out in Cold Time. I say just. Wizards has been releasing sets back to back that I can't keep up half the time, but this came out 2 sets ago. 3 sets ago. Oh my god. But this is 3 for 4, so it's almost like running a Pyretic Ritual or a Desperate Ritual. It can only be used on enchantments and creatures, but mind you, that mana, you're only looking at the top ability here. You can use that to help cast your Ardenn and then like cast your Sigurd as aid, or you can use this to... You know what? If there's enough enchantment stacks pieces, I'll say Open the Omen Path is actually really good here, right? So Open the Omen Path. Paths. And we've already got the Mox Amber. We're going to add Chrome Mox... Mox Diamonds, Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, Mana Vault. I'll say there's a use case for, not Grim Monolith though. And we'll probably want to use Arcane Signet. Probably want to use Felwar Stone. Mind you though, we are going to incorporate things like Stony Silence and such, but we're not going to care. We're not going to care. Okay. And what is the name of the signet for, is it Conviction? Is Conviction white-red? Yeah, we'll use the Talisman of Conviction. Oh, Lotus Petal, thank you. Lotus Petal and Jeweled Lotus. What about Curie Linesinger, Red Partner? So, Ren. I have a list that I thoroughly enjoy that is a Curie and Tevesh, so Mardu stacks, and potentially we'll share that on the channel. I do think that's an entirely different beast, but you could certainly incorporate like an Akiri build instead, because of the nature of what I wanted to do this month. Like I just want to do Voltron builds utilizing Ardenn for the most part. I'm sticking with Rograkh because I think Rograkh will better utilize Ardenn's ability over Akiri. Akiri can get out of hand though. Do not sleep on Akiri. She is very good. Peanut butter whiskey sounds pretty fire. It's so good. God, I wish I was holding it. I wish I had it with me. 16 years better, but 8 years fine. And the peanut butter whiskey, I just forget the name of the brand. I wish I could tell you. Goblin Engineer sounds good to me. So far as tutors are concerned. So I think we've added our suite of fast mana Mox Opal. Is that it? Is that it? Are you telling, is this finally it? Can we move on from the fast mana? Feel free to shout out any sort of tutors you feel are necessary. We've got Gamble. Okay, let's look at them. We've got Gamble. We've got Enlightened Tutor. We've got the Goblin Engineer now, which makes sense. We don't necessarily need anything beyond Stoneforge Mystic. Like, you have your Recruiter of the Guard, you have your Imperial Recruiter. Those are bodies that can be used to swing at things, ultimately, right? If that's all we get out of them. I don't think those are really enough to warrant their place in the list, though. I do think that we do need draw utilities, though, so I am starting to kind of want to incorporate Pure Steel Paladin SRAM, and then obviously a slew of equipment and or auras, or vehicles. Stoneforge Mystic is in. We do have Steel Shaper's Gift already. We have Open the Armory already. Ardenn and Tana is something I was going to explore later this month. Broken. Or not broken, I'm sorry. Balder. Simian Spirit Guide, thank you. Thank you, Broken, for Simian Spirit Guide. So we're at 79 cards. Just a reminder, we do need to remove some lands, so we could say we're at like 77 cards. So let's go ahead and incorporate our stacks pieces now. I definitely believe we want Grafdigger's Cage. We're not trying to storm off, so we can add utilities like Damping Sphere. We don't have any lands that are hurt by that. We can certainly add all of the Rule of Law effects in my mind. So Archon of Emeria. We certainly want more bodies to leverage with equipment. So like the Thalias are really not that bad in my opinion. I really like Heretic Cathar here. This slows the game down quite a bit. It also lets us get in over any of our opposing creatures. But I do, before I put the Thalias, want to add like the Null Rods of the world. Null Rod. We want to add Stony Silence. Am I mistaken in thinking that there's another thing that shuts down... There's another thing that shuts down our equipment or our artifacts? So we've got Karn the Great Creator. I think that's certainly a worthwhile Planeswalker to incorporate. Thank you, Ricky. Yeah, I was same wavelength there. But I think that there's another enchantment that does it. I could be lying to you. But we're going to add Drannith Magistrate. Really anything, and really the best way to look at these is that they're deflecting a lot of potential interaction that would come towards our beaters. Because, like, people are going to want to hold their resources to get rid of the damn thing holding them back, right? So things like Archon of Emeria, Aethersworn Canonist are fantastic here. Aethersworn Canonist. And despite the fact that we're trying to lay down pieces of equipment to get the ball rolling on a damage scheme, Deafening Silence is still very good for slowing the game down. I think all the rule of law effects. So we're also going to use Eidolon of Rhetoric. And yeah, we'll incorporate rule of law as well. I think that makes sense here. I don't know how many tax pieces we want to incorporate. We really got to look at the curve to see if Trinisphere is right for this list. But yes, Rest in Peace. I'm sorry. Rest in Peace is a big one. This is a list that can incorporate Rest in Peace. Again, we're not going for the sub-strategy of Underworld Breach. We do have a sidelined strategy of Godo, right? I think we added Dockside Extortionist as well. Give me 1 second. Yeah, okay. I'll add Twin Flame for now. I think Twin Flame is one word. Yep, okay. And let me see here. Silence Abeyance. I'm going to say yes to Silence. If you guys don't know what Abeyance is, it's single target it replaces itself, right? I do want to add the Thalias. I do want to add at least Thalia Heretic Cathar. It's odd because it takes the same slot as our commander, Ardenn, but I do think that this is a really great card for slowing down the game, in much the same way that Archon of Emeria is. So we'll add Thalia Heretic Cathar as well. Getting artifacts to come into play tapped is also a really big deal, right? We don't care. So things like Orb of Dreams, is really good here. Mind you, this could affect us in the long haul if we're trying to if we have to recast creatures to do the thing, then this could affect us to where something like Blind Obedience may be better. It's also cheaper. And it has Extort. That's kind of cute. We're never really going to use that, but artifacts and creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. Huge for us. So we're going to use Blind Obedience as well. That's not it for the stack suite, but that's where I want to stop for now. Mull for Sigarda's Aid and Colossus Hammer. You could. Stranglehold is a little too slow for me, but I like Aven Mind Sensor quite a bit. So we'll incorporate Aven Mind Sensor as another piece of stacks. We can also use something like Hushwing Griff to stop our opponents from utilizing their Spell Seekers, their Thassa's Oracles, their Dockside Extortionists. You get the picture, but Hushwing Griff is not a bad inclusion as well. Let's see here. Red Elemental Blast and Pyroblast, yes. So we're still on the stacks package, technically. What other pieces of stacks do you feel like we should incorporate, gang? So let's do... Well, how does Stony Silence read? Let's just start there. Start activated abilities of... Okay. So let's just see what we have here. Kinjali Sunwing. I have to look at that. Hushbringer is really cute, though. If you guys don't know Hushbringer, also another Throne of Eldraine card. So Hushbringer stops ETBs and LTBs. She does lack flash, but she's flying lifelink, so clearly this can be very good for us. We'll do Hushbringer. I really like Hushbringer. Mind you, this will shut down our own Dockside Extortionist and Stoneforge Mystic, but I do believe those are the only creatures that care. So that's fine for me. Agreon's Torpor Orb. I think Hushbringer... I think we could just focus on Hushbringer. Cursed Totem is kind of cute too. So in a modern cEDH setting, I'm trying to think, does not Hushbringer, but does Cursed Totem do enough? Answer that. Does Cursed Totem do enough in a modern cEDH setting? If you fight a lot of Thrasios, yeah, sure. Cursed Totem doesn't stop Thassa's Oracle. Cursed Totem, in case you guys don't know, activated abilities of creatures can't be activated. Right? Strict Proctor. This is the new one, correct? The one I avoided mentioning in the review. Whenever a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability to trigger, counter that ability unless its controller pays 2. So this can actually be beneficial in certain circumstances, right? So let's just say you have a land, like a tap land, that says when this enters the battlefield, tap it. You can counter that trigger with this, right? So there's upsides to Strict Proctor if you weren't aware of them. So any of the negative triggers that might occur, you could stop. But this also stops any of the positive triggers. I say stop, but they do have to pay a tax. They can shoot past this. It's a flying 1/3. I don't know. It's okay. You guys can let me know what you think about Strict Proctor. I was referring to Hushbringer. Yes, Hushbringer does work at stopping Thassa's Oracle. Remorseful Cleric is graveyard interaction on a flying creature. This is true. If you guys don't know what Remorseful Cleric is, really cool sacrifice ability on this. Exile all cards from target player's graveyard. So this is very single-sided. But we were looking at the activated thing. I want to go back to that really quick. Okay, so you know, I want to incorporate a certain amount of artifacts just to make the most out of our Goblin Engineer. And we're not going to add Goblin Welder. I don't think that's absolutely necessary here. But I do think that Goblin Engineer is probably a good place to start. So things like Pithing Needle are really good at stopping certain deck strategies. Like if we're conscious that someone uses Necropotence, it's a Zur list. Like you just say Necropotence and you're in a good spot. I'm not sure how high I am on it though. Suppression Field is another one I'm actually very fond of. Activated abilities cost 2 more to play unless they're mana abilities. Now again, this doesn't affect the dorks of the world, but everything else that really cares about activated abilities gets stopped, like your Rograkh, right? But the thing is, there aren't that many activated ability strategies anymore that I see. So that's why Cursed Totem is kind of low on the list for me. I have a really lovely hand-painted Cursed Totem that I just don't use, and it's a shame. I always wish Damping Matrix rather was better, but it's not. But that's really it for the activated abilities of the world. Karn would be the last one, which we've already incorporated. I really thought that there was another enchantment that stopped activated artifacts, but I guess it's just Stony Silence. Stony Silence, Null Rod, we already have those. Okay. How are we feeling about Armageddon? So if we're going to try to incorporate mass land destruction, mind you, we might screw ourselves over in this scenario because we are also trying to stop artifacts, like stunt artifacts at least. And speaking of stopping artifacts, I want to add Meltdown really quick. So the question is, how far do we want to set the board back? And are we in a firm enough position to end the game in a reasonable amount of time? Because if you're going to Armageddon and then the game drags on another 40 minutes, that's kind of a feel bad. And we're delving more into etiquette in this scenario, but you get what I'm saying. I don't know if Rograkh and Ardenn have the power to close out a game as much as I would like. So I don't know. I'm up in the air about adding Ravages of War, Armageddon, like that kind of stuff. Humility is weird. Now, Humility is weird and also very good, and also going up there in price reserve list. So, all creatures lose. Man, I remember when these were so cheap. Justin, by the way, if you watch Brew Wars, if you watch the channel, he owns a ton of these. He bought these like years ago. He's like, these have got to go up, and they never did. And finally, they did. All creatures lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 1/1. So once you get the equipment on whatever it is, Humility is fantastic. Like, yes, in a world of 1/1s, no one can be king. But when one of those 1/1s has 7 pieces of equipment attached to it, then yeah, that's probably the one that's going to come out on top, right? But there are a series of keywords that are attached to Rograkh that kind of make this feel iffy. Aura of Silence is expensive, but puts in work. I agree with that. I agree with that on so many levels. What's sad is that Aura of Silence is usually one of the first ones I cut, but it's asymmetrical, so it only affects our opponents. All of their artifacts and enchantments cost 2 more to cast. That's a huge deal. And when there is something that is hurting you, you can destroy it with Aura of Silence as well. So Gosh, and I've got this beautiful Friday Night Magic one just sitting in a box behind me. I'll add Aura of Silence for now. I do want to add Mags of the Moon. I want to add Blood Moon. And we should look at our interaction suite. So things like Deflecting Swat. Things like Red Elemental Blast, which was mentioned earlier. Red Elemental Blast. Thank you. Pyroblast. We do want to add things like a Braid. We want to add the new one as well. Oh my gosh. I wrote an article for TCG Player Infinite discussing this card, and I forget the name of it. Gosh, I'm going to remember it before I get to it. The multicolored spell that just came out for Lorehold. It's so good. Sorcery Speed. Do you guys remember what it is? Please tell me, because I'm going to be a second just looking for this. It's the new piece of removal. It's 2 CMC. Oh my gosh. Rip Apart. Thank you. Yes, Rip Apart is amazing. It's a very good sorcery speed spell. Now, I don't normally encourage interaction that's sorcery speed. It's hardly interaction at that point. However, it's such good removal, the versatility of this card. I would certainly want to incorporate it here because we're slowing the game down, right? We're trying to set the pace of the game. So once you've established that, Rip Apart is fine to leverage on your turn, provided you have the resources to make do with what you have afterwards. But I do like that quite a bit. Did I pass it? Thanks. Do you have Sword of Feast and Famine in the list so far? Could you possibly use Aggravated Assault? Yes, so Storm, we did mention a potential Aggravated Assault line of play, maybe like a third of the way through this video, and we're not even close to being done yet. However, I don't know if Aggravated Assault and Sword of Feast and Famine is something we can logically shoot for. We're not really in the colors with a lot of tutors to make that happen. However, we do have enough tutors to say we could probably leverage something like that, a strategy like that. The only thing that finds enchantments, strictly enchantments, is our Enlightened tutor, if I'm not mistaken. There is also the 3 CMC tutor that we're not incorporating. So you could say that Aggravated Assault wouldn't be bad here. Feast and Famine is just good value elsewise. Like having someone discard a card is a huge deal. And also the protection on that sword is quite good, right? Black-green. So I'm more into sort of Feast and Famine just for the value of it. But it is on our sideboard, in case you were wondering. Thank you, Wear and Tear. You said it. We want to incorporate Wear and Tear as well. We have no Trample, right? Well, Rograkh has Trample. Rograkh does have Trample on him. If we don't have Humility, is risky. No, you're right. Yep. So after Humility, yeah, we're not going to incorporate Humility, but it is a thought. Like anytime I incorporate a build that is Voltron and it's in white, which most Voltron builds are, surprisingly, I like to think about Humility. It is higher mana value wise as opposed to a majority of our stacks pieces, but I quite like it. So we're at 109 cards. Now, what I want to do the last 30 minutes of this deck building is figure out the kinds of interaction we do want to incorporate outside of the staple ones we've just added, and any sort of stacks pieces that sort of fit the scenarios that this list is trying to provide, right? So we're trying to do aggro, we're trying to do it with hate bears. Are there any sort of recovery pieces we need as well? Like Savine's Reclamation, is that something we think we want? Mind you, there's only one Rest in Peace, right? So, Rest in Peace. It's not like we can get Leyline of the Void, because we're certainly not in black. Exile all cards from graveyards. Okay, so. I want to just ruin graveyards. So, you know, I want to see if there's any more constant ruin graveyard effects. There are things like Samurai of the Pale Curtain. There are other permanents that allow for this. I'm not sure we're going to incorporate them. Give me 1 second. And you'll see Samurai. Oh, she doesn't pop up. Well, it is specific. So Samurai of the Pale Curtain. She's fantastic, right? So when she blocks, you get +1/+1 until the end of turn. If a permanent would be put into a graveyard, remove it from the game. So this is like the counter to our Dryad Militant. If you don't know what Dryad Militant is, she is in Selesnya, and she allows you to exile instants and sorceries that go to the graveyard. That is symmetrical, but she is only one CMC, so a little bit easier to put down than Samurai of the Pale Curtain. But this is one that's often slept on. She's quite good. There's also like things like Kataki, right? That make it's like a tabernacle for every artifact, but because we are artifact heavy, this hurts us more than it hurts our opponents. Scavenge Grounds is fine. Magus of the Rod, if you want another effect like Stony. Magus of the Rod. That's not it. Are you bullshitting me? Is Magus of the... I don't think I've heard of this. Is it in the colors? You better not be lying to me. Banned. Perma-banned from the channel if you're lying to me on this. Don't get me excited about a card that doesn't exist. Fucking hell. Let's see here. Is Vandal Blast playable in 2021? Damn, that deserves its own video, doesn't it? Isn't Godsend the original Lucille? Wait. Wait. Did I miss Godsend? Whenever equipped creature blocks or becomes blocked by one or more creatures, you may exile one of those creatures. Kind of. But Lucille makes frickin' zombies, man. And it's only 2 CMC to put down. It's just absurd. Opponents can't cast cards with the same name as cards exiled by Godsend. Not really great in a singleton game, but you know. Soul Guide Lantern is fun. Does Rebuff the Wicked get any love in Voltron? So Rebuff the Wicked is a counter spell. So what's odd about Rebuff the Wicked, counter target spell that targets a permanent you control. Now here's what I'll say about Rebuff the Wicked. Is it better to incorporate a spell like this or just to incorporate any card that says gains protection? Most of the gain protection in white is specific to creatures, mind you. So this protecting all your permanents is very good. However, if you gain protection is not only defensive, but it's offensive. Like you can use protection to get in there. Like if you somehow lose Rograkh and lose your ability to have menace, then you are able to use protection to get past any sort of colored blocker that might be on the field, blue, red, and whatever. So in my mind, protection does more for a list that's trying to not only play a defensive spell, which is essentially what Rebuff the Wicked is, and does more. So it's like Rebuff the Wicked plus, right? So any sort of protection spell would arguably better, in my opinion. Grafdigger's Cage is in. Depends on most protection spells won't protect your artifact. Yeah. Same wavelength, man. Same wavelength. How about Burnout for a counter spell? I'm not huge on Burnout, but Burnout, it depends. Like, you don't have to counter target instant spell if it's blue. So it's important to note that you can actually cast this on a spell even if it's not blue, and still get to draw a card, right? So if push comes to shove, at least that scenario is there. But it's so narrow, it being instance, makes me feel like it's probably not worth it. Plus, we need to cut cards anyways, right? So because it's 733, let's just see where we lie with a live edit. There's also Tithe Taker and as a mini Grand Abolisher, potentially. True, something like Apostle's Blessing is more proactive. Yeah. And protects artifacts. Yeah, Apostle's Blessing is great. Apostle's Blessing is the one that has Phyrexian mana in its cost, if I'm not mistaken. Really great art, by the way. Just in case you guys don't know, like, you want versatility like this. Like, mind you, this is 2 CMC, but in a world that's not concerned about casting ad nauseum, you don't give a shit. And you're also in a world where we're not using Treasonous Ogre or anything that cares about our life total, so paying the 2 here isn't that bad, and we can use any sort of generic resource to pump this out and gain protection, right? So this can be offensive and or defensive. So maybe an Apostle's Blessing would be really cool. As a matter of fact, I just want to incorporate that before we cut down to a 98 card deck, not to include our 2 commanders, but Apostle's Blessing would be very good. All wrong. It must be Vial Smasher. Well, damn. You waited till the end of this video to just shit on everyone's parade. You know what, for that super chat to let you know that your hard-earned cash has weight on this channel. For the month of May, Luis, I will be doing an Ardenn Vial Smasher deck for Cold Brew. How about that? I had to take that down. I'll probably forget. But we'll do that. Obviously incorporating black. Like, making this Mardu is so big. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that being really good. And what's funny, and you guys don't know this, I actually just bought a bunch of different partners that I just don't own quite yet. I bought Ardenn because I fucking love Ardenn. But I also bought a Vial Smasher. So I've always wanted to build with Vial Smasher. I see Mons do it over at cEDH TV. Like, he plays Vial Smasher quite a bit, and I quite like those builds. So I've always wanted to try it, but I've not sat down and made a build with it. But it gives you Rakdos. Like, Vial Smasher, just for the colors alone, black for all the tutors, red for the Underworld Breach, is very good. So I can see a very different strategy being formed around Vial Smasher. So definitely. Thank you, Luis, by the way. Yes, definitely excited to make a build for that. And I mean, secretly, I've been wanting to do something with Vial Smasher for a minute. So I'm doing that for myself, but also for you. Thank you, Luis. Okay, so we've got 10 cards to cut. So let's go ahead and discuss what we should be cutting from this list. Now, already I'm looking over the potential targets for Sunforger, right? Because Sunforger is limited to instant speed white or red spells with a converted mana cost of 4 or less. So we actually have access to all 14 of our instant speed spells. Do you all feel like Sunforger is worth it in this list? Go. It makes all equipment better to burn with Vial Smasher before equips. Yeah. Vial Smasher was my favorite partner the moment it was spoiled, and still is. That's dope, man. Because Vial Smasher, it's such odd value. He's like 3 CMC. If you guys don't know Vial Smasher, he's actually quite popular. I don't know why I haven't built with Vial Smasher yet, but really, really cool partner commander. Holy shit, that gamble's so good. I've really been wanting to build with it, so I'm excited to do that. But Sunforger, Larry says yes. Marcus says nah, cut Sunforger. Charles says always. David says I think it's worthwhile, which kind of feels iffy to me. David, I'm pretty sure you mean that definitely worthwhile means it's worth it to be in the deck, right? Not that it could be interesting to see what it does. So it's 3-1 right now. I'm kind of with Marcus, but that's just because I'm not a Sunforger person. But I would like to be proved wrong, so I'm going to agree with the three of you. I think we should probably keep it for now. Our pack fresh, Karn the Great Creator. What is it with you, Tapped Out? What do you do? What? No. Jeez, I hate when they do that. Okay, we do need to cut lands. So the first thing I want to do is cut a land here. We're going to keep Forbidden Orchard because of how it works in tandem with our Skull Clamp. Do I feel like Gemstone Caverns is really essential here? In a list that's more concerned about placing stacks down periodically, it feels weird to be exiling something from our hand, but I do feel like we can have an explosive stacksy start with Gemstone Caverns that it's worth a slot, even if it only comes up as generic later in the game. I do feel like we need to cut... I hate to say it, I talked about it at the beginning, but is it Inspiring Vantage? I think Inspiring Vantage is the one we need to cut, because over Gemstone Caverns, I feel like I would want Gemstone Caverns over Inspiring Vantage. We're at 30 lands, 31 technically with our Shatter Skull smashing. I do feel like that this is a good land base here, but we could probably get rid of one more land. I gotta say, it's likely Crystal Vein. Despite the fact that City of Traders is technically more fragile, I feel like City of Traders is better in the long haul. I would rather top deck City of Traders late game than I would, Crystal Veins. And again, we're trying to prolong the game. So in scenarios that we're trying to form, I see City of Traders being a better card. It's also very good early game. It's a great card. You should use City of Traders if you've never used City of Traders. Oh my God. Luis coming in again. Hold up. Would have liked to see more double strike for Sunforger. I agree, Marcus. I agree. I can understand that. I like cutting Vantage a lot. But Luis says Scythe of the Wretched and Kusari Gamma are nasty equips. So Scythe of the Wretched, we'll take a gander at this really quick. So this is a bit of an odd utility as well, but I can understand why you would like it here because Ardenn cheats the equip cost of 4, but whenever a creature dealt damage by equipped creature this turn dies, return that card to the battlefield under your control, attach Scythe of the Wretched to that creature. Oh my god, it makes me want to incorporate things that force blocks. It really does, but at a certain point they're going to have to block anyways, right? And they're hoping not to give you their Crom or something of value, obviously. And by the way, if we use Vial Smasher, we can just run Tymna in the 99. Shut up! Yeah, so good! So good! Okay, yeah, so I'm really excited to do Vial Smasher, if you can't tell. And Kusari Gama is a cute one. I think Kusari Gama is the one that destroys equipment. I think it is. Deals damage. This creature gets plus... No, I'm lying. That's a different looking Kusari Gama type weapon. Whenever equipped creature deals damage to a blocking creature, Kusari Gama deals that much damage to each other creature they're fighting. What? It's almost like a Clasm. It's like an electric or no, because you have to. Ooh, you can fire breathe the creature, and or spin that Kusari Gama that much quicker to do more damage. That's such an oddity. I actually like the Scythe. By the way, I know I glazed over it earlier, but I don't hate it. The thing is, what's interesting about Scythe of the Wretched is it says it's practically unblockable, right? Like, you're not going to want to block Scythe of the Wretched. Am I wrong? Obviously, if your creature doesn't die, you will block, but you're not going to make attacks where you don't kill the thing. So you're basically saying, I get your thing. Maybe Scythe of the Wretched. Am I wrong? Godo is in the list, by the way. Hi, I'm Cross. Godo is in the list. Damn, Scythe of the Wretched. I'm talking myself into that one. We might incorporate it. So let's get some cards. Heat Shimmer, I'm not high on. Twin Flame is really just there for nothing, really, because we don't have that many ETBers that we care about. Mind you, we're only using Twin Flame because Dualcaster Mage exists, and I really wanted to incorporate Fork and Reverberate to steal counters, but we just didn't have the space for that, nor the time. I would also encourage you incorporate Fork and Reverberate, right? So I do think it would be advisable to add the copy spells. Just because we use Dualcaster Mage doesn't mean we need to incorporate both Heat Shimmer and or Twin Flame. But I do think that one of these should stick. And because making duplicates of these creatures isn't all too valuable, and mind you, go to the Bennett Warlord, we're looking to cheat his cost by using Ardenn instead. So we kind of get around needing to do Twin Flame on Godo, get Hammer of Nazan, get Helm of the Host. If you don't know the common Godo strategy, that's what you would normally do. I would say that Heat Shimmer is better just because it has more targets ultimately, and we can stick with that. We will likely cut it. We'll see what happens here. Gamble, Red Flame, Steel Shaper's Gift. Okay, open the armory. Rip Apart, Shatter Skull Smashing, Heat Shimmer, Justice. These all seem good. Karn the Great Critter is the only planeswalker we're going to incorporate. Instant speed spells. Grappling Hook is Double Strike and a Forced Block. Whenever a equipped creature attacks, you may have it... Ooh. This is new to me. Why haven't I... No, I've seen this before. It's the cost that gets me. What do you guys think about... Was Leonin Shikari considered as an include along Pure Steel Pattern? Is Leonin... This is the one that makes it so you can equip it instant speed. Am I wrong? Yeah. Okay. Equip abilities. Anytime you can activate it. No, because we're trying to incorporate... we are incorporating, rather, Stony Silence, Null Rod. We want to slam those as often and frequently as we can because they're very good in a cEDH meta. Speaking of, I really do think that we could likely be on a Chalice of the Void too. If we do Chalice of the Void for 0... it stops all of the proactive Storm list that are trying to use LED repeatedly to do a thing with Brain Freeze / their graveyard with Underworld Breach. yada, yada, yada. Chalice of the Void is very good at 0. Mind you, we do have a few 0 CMC spells, but we're likely going to get the most out of them before we use Chalice of the Void, so I don't feel so bad about that. But that's another stacks piece we should be considering, by the way. The meta's shifted towards a Storm, very Storm-centric list, at least from my experience. If you don't play against a lot of Storm lists, then just ignore this. But Chalice of the Void is very good right now, especially at 0, if you can get away with it. So because Rograkh moves so quickly, we could probably get away with it. I like the suggestion of the grappling hook, by the way. Let me see here. You're correct. I think Halvar is meh. I am going to agree with you. We do need to cut some more things. Grappling hook is great. Yeah, I agree. What about equipment planeswalker? We haven't really researched planeswalkers. Other than Nahiri, right? She's the equipment planeswalker. Master Warcraft is the best spell for this. Luis, you're all over this. Warcraft. Wait. Is that how you... That's not how you spell it. I probably need to spell it right first. Master Warcraft. Cast this spell only as before... Wait. Cast this spell only before attackers are declared. You may choose which creatures attack this turn. You choose which creatures block this turn. Well, see, yeah. Okay. I get that. I get this. Well, what's cool is that Sunforger lets you do this, right? I mean, if we're going to play Sunforger, you might as well force some really bad blocks. That's so goofy. Before attackers are declared. So enter combat. I'll crack the Sunforger. Let's go. Master Warcraft. This is with the trigger, by the way, on the stack, right? So you say Ardenn trigger on the stack. I'll go ahead and rip this Sunforger, throw a freaking Master Warcraft at you. That's really cute. This didn't come out in Commander Legends. I feel like this was a reprint, right? Yeah, this is an older card. I haven't seen it suggested in a minute, but it is Sunforger bait. It is Sunforger bait. SRAM, Wylith. Wylith is cool. Yes. So I think more over anything, Wylith and Akiri are kind of the draw engines I would be looking for, and we can incorporate them momentarily. So I'm not high on Halvar either. I think we can cut Halvar. I want to very quickly remove some of these cards. Master Warcraft is awkward. I do think it's a little awkward, but I don't think it's bad. Sunforger, Master Warcraft, old school standard combo. Jilly Jimbo, is that a fact? Yeah, I never played Standard, but that sounds dope. That makes so much sense, though. Like, that is such a spell to just spoil Sunforger. That seems very good. So I think we can probably remove Seething Song. I actually quite like Open the Omen Path over Seething Song because of the choice of mana you get to produce, but I do think that we're probably going to have to remove that as well. I probably get rid of the Magnetic Theft. Now, the only reason I like Magnetic Theft is that in pinch moments, you can use this to do the job of Ardenn if Ardenn gets removed. In pinch moments, you can use this to skull clamp the thing to kill it, to get the draw. Like the Dark Confidant, like I'm tired of that. Here, take my skull clamp for a second. Let me draw some cards real quick. There's good utility with Magnetic Theft. And in the long run, again, if Godo is just the play for us and we're not able to get Ardenn down or Ardenn was removed, we can use Magnetic Theft to cheat the Helm on, right? Because we are incorporating Helm of the Host in this list if we go down here. So I don't like it overall, but I think it does synergy well with the deck. So that's a tough call. I'm not sure which of any of these we should remove elsewise, though. And you guys can let me know. You all can let me know on that one. If Rograkh has Grappling Hook, you cannot force them to block if... Yes, this is a fact because of the Menace. First live cold brew, even watched all the ads. Thank you, Sierra Rome. The ads do help the channel, so I appreciate you watching all of those ads. I don't know what the percentage is if you click on them or you buy a 2021 Hyundai or whatever you were showcased, but just watching the ads helps. Thanks, Ricky. Yeah, Tirolf in there can be boomeranged a few times with Ardenn or a boss creature. So we definitely need to remove more shit. So let's remove more shit. And like I was saying earlier, Aura of Silence is usually the thing I remove first. And I hate to say it, I do think Rule of Law is just a little too costly and a redundancy too far. We have enough creatures that do that. I think Reconnaissance is sweet, but we're probably going to be in a situation where our attacking creatures don't need to be removed from combat. The only reason I would like Reconnaissance is the fact that it untaps our boy, and our boy's got first strike, right? Rograkh here. So I'm going to add Reconnaissance and keep it for now. Although I do want to incorporate Wylith and Akiri. You're very much right on those as draw engines. I also think that Tome of Legends is very good in this list because of the nature of the deck. Look, mind you, Tome of Legends, it doesn't care if you do damage. You just need to attack with the creature. So enters the battlefield, attacks, you get to draw. You get page counters that allow you to draw, but this is a great way for 1 mana to draw cards. So we do need draw engines in the list, and that is going to be one of them with Akiri and Wylith. So what I want to do is remove 6 more cards to get us to a stage where we can incorporate all 3 of those. Sigarda's Aid feels like good. It feels like good utility, right? Like it's a cute synergy with Stoneforge Mystic. Like, I like it, but I'm not sure it's doing enough for me because Ardenn is probably going to do that for us anyways. So I'm going to take out Sigarda's Aid for now. I do think there are other things I want to do on curve with 1 mana as opposed to Sigarda's Aid. Although I do agree it does functionally work well with this list. And again, it can be incorporated later should you like. We do have Inquisitor's Flail. This was something brought up earlier. I like it quite a bit for this list. I think Sword of the Animist, is a little bit weak. Is a little weak, but not bad. It feels weak relative to all these other spells. Am I wrong? Mask of Memory is feeling a little weak right now, too. But we need the equipment for Wylith and Akiri to really sing, if you don't know who they are. Whenever it attacks, draw a card for each aura and equipment attached to it, right? So... unfortunately, I kind of like Akiri just a little bit more, this one specifically. Whenever you attack with a player with 1 or more equipped creatures, draw a card. So this can trigger up to 3 times, and it doesn't really matter what has the equipment, whereas Rograkh sort of our main squeeze for the equipment. So I think Akiri should be in the list. I think Tome of Legends should be in the list. At least those. I love Tome of Legends. Me too, man. Are you doing Magus of the Moon in addition to Blood Moon? Yes. So Magus of the Moon is right here. I'm questioning Simian Spirit Guide, but it's not like we're running taxes. So our Simian Spirit Guide is very good for the Red Elemental Blast, especially at like the turn 1 Red Elemental Blast. The turn 1 plays in general that you can do with Simian Spirit Guide is very good. So we'll keep it. It feels a little weak here, but we'll keep it. I think creature-wise, we want to at least maintain this many creatures, and these all seem pretty potent for what we're trying to do. There's a good diversity of hate bears and utilities here. I'm struggling with what to cut at this point because I'm quite enjoying a lot of the utilities we have. The thing is, when you have a certain influx of stacks pieces, you can sort of forego removal, but I do think we're at a happy medium with our removal and stacks. I am feeling a little iffy on our Hall of Heliod's Generosity now, just by the nature of our build, like being at 6 enchantments plus Eidolon of Rhetoric, correct? As a 7th enchantment, kind of makes me a little iffy on Hall of Heliod's Generosity. Still good in a pinch, but not my favorite. I almost feel like I would rather Nykthos Shrine to Nyx for ramp later on. But then again, we don't even have that many permanents at this point that have pips to really leverage that. So we'll just keep Hall of Heliod's for now. But yes, we do need to remove some cards. We need to remove at least 4, believe it or not. Give me a moment to just look over these. We can get rid of this. We can get rid of... No, because of the Null Rod effects, we are going to be hampering our ability to draw off something like Tome of Legends, but that's okay. Because someone will try to remove our Null Rods, right? So I'm just not, I just wish I was more high on Sword of Amethyst. If someone can convince me on Sword of the Animist, I'll put it back in, but I'm just not high on it right now. We do need to get rid of some things. I hate for them to be all equipment, obviously, because we really leverage that. But as it stands, those ones feel like the weakest of the lot. Inquisitor's Flail, I'm a little iffy on as well. Mind you, it's very good, but it is definitely drawing a target to your head. What exactly are we trying to ramp into with Sword Animist? It is very slow. Yeah, exactly why I feel that way. Feast and Famine makes Animist look bad. Yeah, it does. So Inspiring Statuary. So Luis, I like Inspiring Statuary quite a bit, just because if you guys don't know what that does, there are 26 artifacts just in our artifacts base alone. We do have Aethersworn Canonist and maybe a handful of artifacts outside of that. But basically all your other non-artifact spells have Inspire. Basically you can, it's like you can tap your artifacts to help you pay the cost, the generic value cost of any other spell that's not an artifact. It's like Convoke. Convoke is the word I was looking for. What are we at card-wise? We're at 100. Okay, so we know we want to add Tome of Legends for draw. It feels weird to get rid of Mask of Memory because just the way this list functions, Mask of Memory is kind of the better draw utility, but that doesn't play too well into our Rest in Peace. Mind you, Rest in Peace is the only Grave Hate we actually run, but does feel... I'm a little iffy on that. You look at Conqueror's Flail? We did. I talked about Conqueror's Flail earlier. I'm not too high on it here, just because of the nature of the list. Like, if we were trying to pound out a win quickly, then I would want it, but I'm not seeing that. So we are going to take go in a little bit of overtime here to make sure we can test this list, but I want to at least get Tome of Legends in here before we commit to the way this is structured right now. So I think the one thing I'm going to take out is just this other bit of fast mana, and then we'll go ahead and test. I do think Blackblade Reforged is also kind of weak, if I'm going to be honest with you all, and I would probably encourage you to remove that as well, but we'll keep it for now. And we can test this. Okay. With 99 cards, effect thing is pretty marginal. Yeah. And this was in response to someone else. But yeah, deck thinning is a real strategy. It's, to be perfectly honest with you, I think the more important element of... This is keepable, by the way. The more important element of any sort of fetch effect, any sort of tutor effect, like when you thin that one card out, is arguably the shuffle. In a lot of scenarios, you do need to switch what's on top of your list, whether you've Scryed and or Sensei's Divining topped, or any number of effects that have let you know what's on top of your deck. It's usually the shuffle that's most valuable, less so the deck thinning aspect, although you will take increasing your probability of seeing a top deck that's more favorable for you. You'll take any of those opportunities you can get, right? So I don't want to undervalue the concept of deck thinning, excuse me, but it is true that the percentage of gain is actually very slight, but each successive time you thin your list, the better it becomes. So this was keepable because we have a lot of really good elements in play here. It is a little sluggish, but it's not the worst. Okay, so we'll do that. Well, we have two options here. So this is really... So it's not a great Rograkh Voltron-y hand I kept, but as you can see, there's a lot of great elements of stacks to drop on turn 2. And if we were on the play, this is arguably really good. Bearing in mind, we can do some work with our Desperate Ritual here. So if we were to tap this, tap here, we would have 1 generic, 3 red. Do we need that much mana? What can I do with this? Hold up. If I did this, we've got boop, 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 3 red, 1 generic, and a total of 5 mana. So we're not really going to get much further by using our Desperate Ritual right now. But what I do want to do is at least put down Magus of the Moon or Blood Moon. And to be honest with you, Blood Moon is arguably the better of the two because it has less... There are less ways to remove Blood Moon than there will be ways to remove creatures. So I think that's the thing I'm going to prioritize first here. And it's a difficult thing to decide in the moment whether Eidolon of Rhetoric or Blood Moon is better. But arguably, depending on what your meta is, if there's a bunch of monocolored list in front of you, I would encourage you go for the Eidolon of Rhetoric. If you're going against a bunch of multicolored lists, which is what I generally assume when I go to play games, usually the lists I'm playing against are 3 to 5 colors, Blood Moon is arguably always better. This is the moment where they all crack their fetch lands and pray to God that they can, find the resources they need. Because most people rely on artifact mana, they'll likely be able to get there. So maybe more artifact removal would also be good in this list because we want to punish them for not using a land base that can get around Blood Moon. At any rate, Blood Moon's there. Nothing else we can do. We can pretend like we have a silence in our hands. It doesn't matter. My God, so much stacks, but no equipment. And it's not like we're not running equipment, so I'm not too sad about this. This is where that Vial Smasher seems really appealing, right? Am I wrong? Because Rograkh hasn't really benefited us in a meaningful way right now. Obviously, he's there for the attack, but still very good. I want to play my Ardenn and Vial Smasher versus this deck. I built it already. Sure, if you're on the Discord, we do play pickup games. I'll try to play pickup games with people on the Discord over the weekend. I haven't had the availability to do so because I've been working on projects outside of the channel, unfortunately. So a lot of my time has been consumed. But I do try to play pickup games with folks over on the Discord. So if you're not on the Discord, join. And also for Patreon members, it's a little bit unofficial, but there will be segments with Patreon members on the show soon. So to all of you viewing this right now at the very end of this video, a little fun fact for you. And our Patreon members already know that. I've discussed that with some of them. So this is tough. We've got a really cool hand here. Obviously, we're going to play our City of Traders. We have altogether too much mana. This is a mountain. This is also a mountain right now. And then, of course, we have Plateau. So we've got 5 mana on this turn. Well, so it's cute. We can play Ardenn, but man, don't I just want to play Deafening Silence and just screw all, right? So yeah, why not? This, Magus of the Moon. Now I got something to swing at you. Now we can only hope that we top deck something of value. Rock, that's okay. So we'll put Ardenn down in the hopes that we find something we need moving forward. But that's about all I want to do here. Like we could have, I think if I finagled this correctly, could I have done more? Could I have put him down? It's not necessary. We don't want to draw too many targets to ourselves, but this is quite enough. Just these 3 things. Did I screw that up, by the way? No, Deafening Silence. I can play a non-creature spell. By the way, did I? I don't know. Anyway, we're probably going to move on from this game because it is going very slow and we're not finding solutions we need. So let's just see if we can find a game that has a hand with actual equipment to play. So starting with the Grafdigger's Cage is not bad. Not bad at all. It's going to be really upsetting when that person was holding their Green Sun Zenith and wanted to drop their Dryad Arbor, right? Let's see. What is Sunforger? What if Sunforger go burr? Let's see here. This is a fine, like, keepable hand, and you might have seen that Godo right there. But I don't think I would keep this one. It's fine. It does a thing, like it slows the game down, but I'm not overly impressed with what it's doing. This is nice because we have an option of anything at this point. And depending on where we are on the play, this might be good, right? So if I knew I was 3rd or 4th in turn order, this wouldn't be so horrible because what I would do is just melt down for 0, right? And break any of the fast mana that had hit the field at this point. Obviously, anything in the 1 or 2 CMC department that also dropped at this point would remain, but I feel okay with that. But what's nice about it is that the Stony Silence is back up for that situation. So part of me would want to just go Plateau. I would go Plateau, and depending on the board state, I would cast Meltdown and or hold for the Enlightened Tutor. But you can see that this is quite a good hand, right? This isn't so bad. We have 3 mana sources and definitely ways to stop things. And of course, Ardenn to help with all the play this one out. We will move on, but that is a keepable hand. I just at this point, sidebar, I do think that Fork Reverberate should be in here, right? Red mana is probably the thing we want to prioritize, and we're able to use those to not only protect ourselves against countermeasures and or removal, or double down on removal that we could leverage. It's also going to let us copy like the Demonic Tutors of the world, the stuff that we don't have access to. So I do like Fork and Reverberate quite a bit. I would say that you should put those in this list. If we're not on the play, is this good? Yes, quite. Right? And mind you, we do need to get rid of something. We only have 1 land drop per turn. The hope is that we would be able to... do more with this, because we do need another land to get Ardenn down, but you can see the commander's play, all of this stuff is stacking up to a very successful start. Let's just pretend we kept this. Boop, boop, boop. He's got haste, doesn't matter. Now the only issue here is the commander's plate, right? So we would obviously need to move the equipment over. But on turn 2, provided we drew a land, which we didn't, this would have been a really cool start, right? Right, you would just do this, move this over here, drop the commanders. Oh, we don't even have the mana to do that. We would really need a ritual and a land, but that would have been great. In an ideal world, we would have that setup going for us. Dockside would help. Not if we played the Stony Silence, though. And again, you know, we're not too concerned with that. Keep seeing this guy. And it's fine, but Rest in peace, Grafdigger's Cage. Nice Staxy hand. And it's not like we're not using every ritual known to man right now. This is kind of cool. Mind you, this is a neat start with just this alone, right? And Rograkh. Bearing in mind, we've got protection here for future turns and a Steel Shaper's Gift to make all of this happen. So let's just say that we keep this. We'll do the Spectator seeding into the Drannith Magistrate. And we'll cast these two, right? So if we were on the play, that was great. Because now, if they had some sort of value play with their commanders, they're screwed. And also, bear in mind, the Drannith Magistrate doubles down on Underworld Breach protection because they're not able to cast spells from their graveyard, right? They can only cast it if it was in their hand. So that's kind of cool. Brought back. When Rograkh is hit, gets a couple equipment back. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that being useful. Brought back for double white. If you guys don't know what it is, you're allowed to pull back 2 permanents that were destroyed this turn. So it's instant speed. So if it happens off turn, you can use it then. It's also really cute to use with your fetch lands. You can actually use it with those types of permanents as well. But let's do one more test hand before we close this one out. All right. But you get the concept here. What we're trying to do is find hands that get our hate bears down early, quickly and effectively. And a lot of the hate bears in this list are really damning, right? Then we want to start using Ardenn and Rograkh to pile on damage. Now, the unfortunate, we haven't really played through a turn where we would want to use a Steel Shaper's Gift, right? But you would want to do something like probably City of Brass here. But we would get our hammer. Anything, really. I mean, but I'm a huge fan of the Colossus Hammer, so we'll get the hammer, put that in our hand. We'll hold up the silence, whatever. Or we could even put down the hammer now. We would kind of need to put down the hammer now, the way this is shaking out. Really depends on the board state, but we want to be able to play Ardenn on curve and then swing with the hammer. But this is also putting a target on us, so doesn't feel great. It might even be more advisable to just hold up the silence for interaction and then curve out onto Blood Moon, but it really depends on the board state. And at that point, you're removing a lot of means of interaction, provided there isn't like a mono red list that can just destroy your artifacts anyways. But you get the concept here. Let's just say we did that because that's what I want to do. Ardenn down, beginning of combat, we do a thing. We're probably going to move the hammer onto Rograkh because now we have 2 lovely targets for them to hit. And obviously we have a first strike, menace, trample, 10-11, which is really cool. I don't like being tapped out for this. It would have been great if there was fast mana or a ritual to make us go into this so that we had at least some protection with our Apostle's Blessing. But conceptually, that's what the list wants to do, right? Is Drannith Magistrate really the best stacks in the world? It's pretty damn good, especially when most of the commanders in a cEDH setting are just there for value. In my opinion, at least the commanders I commonly see, they're more or less just there for value, and then the colors they supply, right? So being able to stunt people in that scenario is really fantastic. I love Drannith Magistrate so much. If you're in white, just play Drannith Magistrate. And he's actually pretty affordable still, too. Sidebar. He's not an expensive card. Like, what, sub $5, depending on the condition you get. Such a good card. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna call it with that. I think that we conceptually see what we're trying to do with this list. I think that this direction we've gone is really good. Again, I just want to reiterate. You need reverberate rather, and you could use reiterate if you wanted to. But reverberate and fork are definitely the ones you want to incorporate. I think that the package here is fine. I would actually want to incorporate the Scythe that Luis mentioned. I think that Scythe is really good because it forces a block. It seemed like from what I was seeing, we found the tutors necessary. Like in a couple of those hands, we saw Steel Shaper's Gift, and if I'm not mistaken, we saw Open the Armory. So we did have ways to find the utilities we wanted, but we want there to be such an influx of equipment that we commonly see them on the draw because that's what the list is built around. So it really felt like stacks first and Voltron light, which is not necessarily what I wanted. Plus, there's no real utility or added utility with using Rograkh as opposed to any other partner that incorporates red if we're not getting the equipment early. Because the ideal scenario here is to drop our equipment / Rograkh / Ardenn. So clearly the composition here wasn't lending itself well to that playing out as fluidly as we wanted it to. Not to say that this build is bad. I do think it can be worked on. So I'll leave it to you guys. Of course, if you weren't following along already, I normally leave it in the chat, but at this point, I take it you understand how these work. In the description is the link to the list. So if you want to build off of this or work with this, I highly encourage you to do so. The next time we come back to this, I'm going to be doing Ardenn and Vial Smasher because that is something I definitely want to try out, and we'll probably incorporate the scythe for that one. But guys, as I do with all these videos, I'd like to thank our Patreon crew for making sure that all of this is possible. Thank you guys so much for helping out with the channel and, you know, making my dreams come true, because this is such a joy to do. But guys, thank you all for tuning in as well. Like, you guys join in every week for these. This is one of the more popular streams we've had in a while, and I really didn't think that Voltron would be popular whatsoever. So the fact that more than 100 of you stayed tuned for the entirety of the stream is a really big deal. I want to make these streams more of a regular thing on the channel. So the fact that you guys like to tune into these is really reassuring for me. So thanks so much for tuning in each week to these Tuesday live streams. Also, let me know in the comment section down below, or just the live chat while we're still open. Did you enjoy the new thumbnail? I'm trying to migrate to a different set of thumbnails for these videos. So let me know if that was of visual interest to you. I'd love to know your thoughts on the current running thumbnail for this cold brew. It's likely what I'm going to do with future thumbnails as well, but I keep alternating things to see what works and what doesn't. But guys, thank you so much again for joining me on this one. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I hope you all did as well. Again, my name is Patrick Marlatt, and happy brewing, babies.